is the terrifying story of Amelia the doll.
There was this woman who was living in this 100-year-old house. And as beautiful as the house was, there was this very dark energy coming from it, and she thought it was caused by the doll that she bought.
The doll was named Amelia, and she was made in 1994. And what's incredibly creepy is that when the woman first bought the doll, her eyes were blue.
And everything was fine for years, but one day the doll's eyes turned this bright green. It basically just happened overnight without any explanation. And that is when weird things started happening in the house.
She got woken up every night by a crying baby, and she'd walk around the house and wouldn't be able to find any source of the sound. She would also hear doors slamming and her floor creaking. It always sounded like someone was walking towards her bedroom.
So she had some paranormal investigators come to her house, and they immediately found out that it was the doll causing all these problems.
If you're ever walking and hear a sound behind you, look up, for it might be the Gashadokuru. The Gashadokuru are skeleton giants who walk around in the middle of the night. If they see a human, they will quietly walk up behind them, bite off their head, and drink their spraying blood. Soldiers that die on the field and people that die of starvation usually do not have their final rites read. In Japanese culture, that means that their soul cannot pass on and they're reborn as a hungry ghost. When the bones of hundreds of those souls gather together, they become the skeleton monster known as Gashadokuru.
This is why you should never use a red crayon.
This is about a creepypasta called The Crayons.
A married couple who had just returned from their honeymoon decided to buy a house. And one day the husband was walking down the hall when he spotted a red crayon lying on the floor.
Now the couple didn't have any children, so they wondered where this crayon had come from.
The next day the husband came home from work to find another red crayon lying in the same spot.
He was very puzzled and decided to ask his wife about it.
She told him that every day since they first moved into the house, she had been finding red crayons when she was cleaning.
And they were always lying in the same spot at the end of the hallway.
So he tapped on the wall at the end of the hallway and heard a hollow sound. Curious, he began peeling off the wallpaper.
And behind the wallpaper, he found a pair of sliding doors. They were nailed shut, so he had to open them one by one. And then he opened the doors to reveal a small hidden room.
Looking inside, they saw that the walls of the little space were covered in words scribbled in red crayon.
Over and over were the words, "Mommy, I'm sorry, let me out."
If you like Rapunzel, this video might not be for you. This is the true story of what the fairy tale is based off of, and a little bit of a warning, it's not pretty. Rapunzel is based off of a girl named Barbara who grew up in Italy in the 13th century. She was apparently so beautiful that her father locked her away in a tower so she could never have a relationship with a man. Though many men still found a way to try and court her, she turned all of them down, stating that she had a relationship with only God. She was a newfound Christian. Her dad, however, was a pagan and was not happy about her being a Christian. When her father found out, he pulled a sword on her and told her if he ever saw her praying again, she would regret it. Rapunzel, afraid from her life, prayed that there was a way she could escape her father. According to legend, a hole then opened in the side of her tower, giving her a chance to escape. Unfortunately, as she was escaping, her father found her and cut off her head. Think about that next time you watch Tangled. Like this video if you want more of these.
There is a creepy lost episode of Barney that a father swears he caught his kids watching.
One day he was looking at the TV guide when he saw that it said a lost episode of Barney was going to air at 7 p.m. He asked his kids if they wanted to watch, and they said yes.
They all sat down to watch it, and the theme song started playing, but something wasn't right about it. It almost sounded like the song was being whispered. The episode started as it usually did, the kids holding the Barney doll that suddenly comes to life.
But when Barney started talking, he sounded slightly weird. It sounded like two people were talking at once. His normal voice and one that sounded darker and scarier. And suddenly he said,
"Hi kids, today I'm going to talk to you about death."
So one of the kids asked him,
"Barney, what's death?"
He then chuckled and said,
"This is."
With his face suddenly turning angry, his teeth growing long, and then he eats the child. And then he proceeds to chase all the other children around, trying to eat them throughout the rest of the episode. And then at the very end of the episode, he sang the "I Love You" song as if nothing happened.
Next time you go camping, be careful you don't end up like this story. In 2009, a church retreat goes deep into the forest to stay the night. Wanting to kill some time, the adults play cops and robbers with the kids. While chasing one of the kids, the adults see something hiding in between the tall grass. It stands up, runs to the adults, and stops right at the edge of the grass, waiting for the adults to get closer. Thinking it's one of the kids, they start to chase it, Right when they get near it, it dives into the grass and starts crawling like a snake. It starts climbing the tree, looks at them with these deep red eyes, and lets out a deep, horrific screech. The adults start to run, and they never look back.
You know there are true stories of people who found Coraline-like doors in their own houses? Except it didn't take them to another world, it took them to places much creepier. In 2015, there was this couple who bought a new house, and they found this tiny secret door disguised in their bookcase. So they were super intrigued and even excited. They were thinking maybe it would lead them to some hidden treasure or money. But as they were going through the passageway, they found a note that read, "If you're reading this, then you found the secret room." But instead of something exciting, it said, "It's filled with black mold." The walls inside this secret room were covered. There was so much of it that the previous owner and his children were constantly getting sick from it. So the couple immediately packed their things, left the house, making sure to sue the agent who sold them the mold-infested house in the first place.